everyone. Welcome back to K Talk. We're your hosts. I'm Mel.
And I'm Uma. Hi, everyone. How are you doing, Mel?
I am good. I feel so good to be back. I feel like we've been away for like months.
I know. It's only been 2 weeks, though.
I know. That's shitty snowstorm.
I know. And all the family stuff. It just feels weird.
It does.
It just feels weird to be in front of the mic again.
I'm so happy to be back. I feel
know,
like
it was only
something
like
was
2
missing
weeks.
in my life. Like, yeah.
You felt, I was just like, we're so behind schedule.
Yeah, we are. But
That's all I could focus on. I'm like, what is happening? But you know what? Gave me lots of time to catch up on everything and kind of finish off all of the series that we're
yeah,
we're
it was
doing.
a lot.
But today's after show is Melo Movie. Thank God it dropped all at once.
Yeah.
I literally binge watched it in a day, which was not the smartest thing to do because it was so heavy.
Oh my God. Super heavy.
Not what I was expecting.
I don't think I've cried like that
In a long time.
very long time.
I know.
But at the same time, it's like these are the dramas that made me fall in love with K-dramas. You know what I mean? Like, I love the deep feeling, you know what I mean? That just evokes so much emotions in you. It's just
hits you right in the
it
feels.
Was absolutely beautiful.
I know. Melo Movie, very healing, big tearjerker. Just so emotional. So basically, the series is about a group of people, pursuing their dreams. It's about love. It's about depression. It's about, just finding yourself, finding yourself and like overcoming your traumas and kind of like digging deep and figuring out like what the core of your trauma was and how it's like colored your perception of like how it colored the character's like past.
And also how it can present itself in different people.
Yes.
Right?
And like how it can also present itself like in your current life and affects the choices that you make.
Yeah.
Like personally, professionally, like it was everything.
It just gave you everything.
It
was so real and raw. And I absolutely fell in love with it.
The pacing was so good.
It was.
One thing I loved was how they introduced all of the characters.
Yeah.
And we really got to know them. We got to know their backstories and where they are in present day. And everybody had like a full arc. Like nobody's storyline was left undone, like everything was dealt with head on. I was worried a little bit like one of the characters wouldn't grow and have like a full fleshed out arc and wouldn't have the transformation that they needed to have, which was Sinju. But he pulled through at the end and you could really see his growth as well. And they took, that was like I think one of like the very last scenes that we saw him, like we could really see his growth. But what an amazing show. I loved.
And I love the fact that even though it was meant to be a more slower paced show, I was still thoroughly entertained even from the beginning. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't boring at all. Like,
not at all. Like every episode. Okay. What I loved about this show was you couldn't look away for a second. Like every scene, every line of like dialogue was so heavy and it really added to the story. Like there was nothing useless. Like the script, like the writing was wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. There was nothing useless. Like you never questioned like, okay, why did that happen?
Yeah, like
why was that needed?
Why is this conversation happening? Like how is this going to push the story forward? Like everything that the character said pertained to what they were dealing with.
And it mattered.
It really did matter. Like you really like I was sad. Like it was just
it's just beautifully written. I don't know, like my favorite so far of this year.
The years are like it's still
so far,
but still I don't think anything can come along that could top this. I'd be really, really surprised.
To give me this level of feels, I don't know. Like I said, and then the emotions, it kind of hit me out of nowhere. It was weird because I was watching it one moment and then the next moment I'm literally bawling my eyes out, like complete breakdown. Like I said, I've never cried like that in a very long time.
Because they made us kind of feel safe in the first like 5 to 6 episodes, in the sense of like they were just focusing on the main couple's relationship and like they were focusing on everybody actually, but it didn't take a complete turn until we got to like episode 6 and 7, and that's when the tears just would not stop because everybody's story was being wrapped up at that point, right? Like I've never seen a show where the last 4 episodes were just hitting one after the other. We didn't get a break. Like it just, wow.
It was just nonstop tears.
I know. So
I kind of shocked myself. I was like, oh my God, girl, get it together. like what is going on? But it was that, it just hit different. I don't know.
It really did. I love that we got to see so many different types of relationships.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about today is basically like all the relationships at the show, pretty much. Like what was the plot? And we have our main couple.
Yep. Gyum and Mubi.
Yeah. Gyum and Mubi. And then we have Jua and Sinju.
Also known as Hongsi.
I guess so.
I think that's his, like, I don't know his nickname, his stage name.
They
I don't know,
it.
But Hongsi.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Sinju to be, I thought Hong was his last name.
It's yeah. And then I guess they put it together.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. So that's 2 relationships. Then we have the relationship between the brothers, Jun and Gyum. And then we have the relationship between
Mubi and her mother.
Mubi and her mom.
Miss
Are
Kim.
we missing anything? No.
And then we have Sung Sik, the guy that owns the bar.
The uncle.
And then we have the director Ma. Like,
yeah,
you know
those were to me just cute little side characters, kind of push their world forward. But the main ones, I think, were those relationships.
That's what I also love about the show. Like they didn't even need that many side characters to hold its own. You know what I mean? Like sometimes in dramas there's like so many side characters, but this one it was like just like a core, basically 2 relationships, to be honest.
They literally were the main characters, and I loved how the stories were equally powerful.
Yeah.
Right? Let's start off with Sinju and Jua.
Yeah.
Okay. They're the male lead, Gyum's best friends from childhood. They went to the same school, and Sinju and Jua start dating.
Yeah.
Right? The show literally starts off, the first episode, we find out that they've been together 7 years, and they literally break up on their anniversary.
Yeah.
Ever since the breakup, Sinju's life just becomes stuck.
Yeah.
His career is not going anywhere. He actually says this too, like when they have their reunion and their big scene, that he has been stuck on that night. He's been stuck in the past. Everything he wants is in the past. Like he doesn't care for his present, and he can't even think about the future. Yeah.
I personally think Sejun was incredibly emotionally immature. I feel like that was the core thing of the breakdown of their relationship, amongst other things. And I feel like he was angry with Jua because she's seen so much potential in him that he could not see in himself. And it started to irritate him to that level. It's like, why does she keep seeing this in me? I'm just a pathetic loser that can't even, get my career off the ground. And
I think he was wrestling with those thoughts subconsciously, but I thought in the beginning, I got the sense that in their relationship, he loved that Jua was his cheerleader, right? She was always about him.
Yeah.
And that's really what caused their relationship to break down, because everything in the relationship, he was just me. He never really, gave her the same energy back. She was just pouring everything into him, and he never poured back into her. And that's when she realized, I have to break up with him because I can't move forward in my life because I love him so much that I've lost myself.
Yeah.
And she even says, I feel pathetic because something as simple as she couldn't even order the kind of food that she normally likes and enjoys because, he eats way faster than her. And then he's irritated that he has to wait on her. And their relationship was just one direction, and it all just benefited Sinju.
It was also powerful when she said that all the things that he thought that she loved too, she didn't. She just did it because he loved, the whole movies and the soccer and all of that. And I feel like part of it is was it even a real relationship when you couldn't be your authentic self, right? He didn't know who she was. She didn't have her own likes, her own thing. Is kind of like you said, she just attached herself to him so much that she just oh, you like this? I like it too. You know?
But she fully owned up to that.
Yeah,
and she was that's the kind of loser that I was, because he rightfully said, okay, but you never voiced these things to me.
Yeah.
How was I supposed to know? So I'm just supposed to sit here and feel like the bad guy, like I'm the idiot here. And she was like, no, actually, I'm saying I'm a loser for loving you that way and not expecting anything in return. And I rewatched the first episode just to kind of see if I had missed that, because I was so focused on like Gyum and like the overall episode that I wasn't really, you know, taking in like the little nuances. And one thing that I noticed was in the beginning, she comes back and, you know, she's super excited about joining like entering a screenwriting contest. And he really doesn't celebrate her in that way. He was just like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to do that. Yeah. And then there's this other scene where they're ordering food and she constantly is repeating herself. I want to try this. He was like, no, I've had everything from this place and pepperoni pizza is the best. And she's like, yeah, but I want, and he's like, no. Like, it shows that like she tried, she was a little timid about it. Shut it down. But you could, it really showed how he kind of just railroaded her and it was always about what he wanted. And she just kind of gave in and she got tired of giving in.
And that's what I mean by he's incredibly emotionally, you know, immature.
And self-absorbed. You know? Yeah. Like, incredibly self-absorbed. Yeah. That he didn't even clock any of that.
Yeah. So, and he also has a bit of a temper as well. Like, you know what I mean?
I think that's misdirected because I think he needs to turn that back on himself, right? Like, he has a very low image because self-image, his career didn't go like after the breakup when they have that reunion. Yeah. He's mad at himself. And that's why he, when she says, why don't you see the movie with me? He's like, oh, is this really a coincidence that you ran into me at the theater? Or like, that you want to say hi to me, like you want to sit there and brag, fine, sure. Yeah. Go ahead and brag. And I'm like, I don't think that's what she was trying to do, but he just feels bad because he has nothing going on. Yeah. So even if she says, I'm excited that I made a movie, he's going to see that as a negative, like as a shot at him.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of projection was going on.
Big time. Yeah. So that's kind of like why their relationship fell apart. She comes back 5 years later and she wants him to be the music director on her film. He's fighting it the whole time because a part of him kind of hopes that she's using it as an excuse to get back with him because he says it like several times. Yeah. What do you want me to do here? Like, do you want to get back together? Do you want to be friends? Because none of that is an option. But then later on, he was like, well, we should get back together if anything. Yeah. He's actually very clear of where he was and how he never got over her. She was a little bit wishy-washy for my liking. Yeah. Because I couldn't figure out. But
also, like I said, back to the immaturity thing, that he was so caught up in the past of their relationship that he couldn't see the opportunity that was right before him as well, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, she's the one bringing this to you, but don't lose sight of what it could do for your career right now. Like when she came and said, you'd be the perfect person for this, in a way he took it as like, oh, she's pitying me. Exactly. Everything is just negative with him. You know what I mean? Like,
he let his pride get in the way. And I think she even says it. She's like, don't be prideful. Like, this is just an opportunity. I'm not doing this out of pity. I just think, you know, I do love your songs. Like, I really think you'd be good at this. Yeah. And good, especially for this movie.
Yeah. And it goes back to, you know, what people say, like, if you don't feel it about yourself, no one can kind of like make you see yourself like that. You know what I mean? It starts from within. Yeah. Because no matter how many times she told him, hey, you're amazing, you're great, he doesn't, a part of him doesn't believe it because he feels so low about himself, right? So,
exactly. I'm glad he ended up focusing on his music and his career. And luckily, it turns out for the better. You find out at the end that her movie flops. Yeah. But his career takes off. Yeah. You know, they finally have this big conversation where he was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm still not over you, but clearly, like, they can never go back, you know? That's one thing I loved about it. It was like, a lot of people were like, oh, they loved each other so much in the beginning. Why can't they just get back together? And I'm like, they can't, because even though now he's aware that he was self-absorbed and really didn't know Jua, if they were to get back together, I think it just would have went back to the way it was, because he cannot he can't see her the way he does. Yeah. He's always going to expect her to fall right back into her place. So even though he's conscious of the way that he never really poured any energy back into her, I don't think it'd be easy for him to change. I think he can change in a different relationship. Yeah. I just don't think he can change with Jua because there's too much
And that's history. What I mean about what was their relationship to begin with? What was it based on, right? If she wasn't never being her authentic self, right? And he, you know what I mean? So it's like, what exactly would they be getting back to? Because without that type of what they were doing before, what would their relationship be now, if you think about it?
Yeah, I think it'd be easy for Sinju to come back because he was just being loved on so hard. It's really Jua that was left with nothing. He was giving nothing in that relationship. And even the uncle called it out when he was like, honestly, he was like, she was more like your mama.
Yeah.
Remember, she was like packing him lunches, taking care of him, like just making sure that, like, you know, he had time to do his music. Like she was kind of like a caretaker for him. And even the uncle noticed that it went from, it started romantically and then it just kind of became this very comfortable relationship where she just takes care of all of his needs.
Yeah.
So I don't think they could ever, like,
and
I'm glad they didn't get back together.
And now a completely different person. Exactly. It wouldn't work because that was their dynamic, right? And I don't think he would be comfortable with her being, you know what I mean, just her now, right? So, yeah, I'm glad they made that decision to not get back together.
Exactly. And I was trying to figure out, like, what her motive was for approaching him. And I think it was just her way of making it up to him because she left abruptly, right? Like, she just was gone. They were together. In his mind, everything was going great. And she broke up with him out of the blue and disappeared for 5 years. Like, she didn't even, you know, try to stay in touch with Jeon. So she completely disappeared, ghosted them.
And that's why I do understand Sejun's anger towards her, right?
Yes,
I
needed
completely
closure.
understand because literally you're with this person for how many years and that's how they drop that bomb with no communication, no, like, if she sat him down and had that conversation that
and
she
told
did,
him right away.
Exactly. Of like, hey, I feel like I don't know who I am when I'm with you. You know what I mean? Basically,
this is
the
not
conversation
working.
they had.
She just said, it's not working, gotta go. And the whole time, I think maybe in the past 5 years, he was just like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
What was wrong with our relationship? Remember, in his mind, they're having the best time.
Exactly.
They're great. They have no issues.
So I understand if someone just left
and that's why he was
abruptly.
stuck.
Yeah, it's like you didn't give me a
closure.
conversation. You didn't even give me a chance to, you know what I mean? And yeah, I understand his anger 100%.
He needed the closure. And I'm just so happy that the show allowed us to see, you know, their beginning, middle, and end and really, you know, highlighted how they grew individually.
And also you got to understand they were very young too, right? When they started dating. So rarely do people really stay together from when they're in high school to, you know,
and
because you mature, you grow, you know what I mean? So yeah,
100%. And I love that the secondary like couple were, you know, like it's just, they didn't treat them like a supporting cast.
Yeah.
Just really happy that
two
the
couples,
show did
but
that.
Two completely different stories. That's what I loved. It was like watching two dramas, you know what I mean? In one.
Right.
So I really love that.
Okay. So moving on to our main couple.
Yeah. Guillaume.
Movie.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
He is so adorable.
I love his goofy little face.
Yeah.
He's such an expressive actor.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like anything that I feel like is happening in his head, it just boom. Like he does not have a poker face. Like he's so expressive. I loved it. Like
his face was made for this role. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean? Like he's just so cutesy and just so unserious. And yeah, he nailed it.
Exactly. So their issue is Mubi has fear of abandonment.
Yep.
And Guillaume just doesn't share his feelings. Like he puts on this facade of constantly being happy because he doesn't want to be a burden to anyone, I guess. He doesn't want to like trouble people in any way. Yeah. Which largely stems from the relationship that he had with his brother. Yeah. Right? Like we find out that their parents died and his older brother raised him.
Yeah, they passed when Guillaume was 9 years old.
Exactly.
And his brother was only like 20 or something. So
right. And then we kind of see that he's always had to be like this chipper and like cheerful person because he wanted to show his brother like, you're raising me, I'm happy, you're doing a good job. Yeah. And then we also kind of find out that like his brother has been low-key depressed his whole life. Yeah. So one of the reasons why I think that Jeon was always cheerful is to always get his brother out of that shell. Yeah. Because if his brother's kind of gloomy all the time, like he didn't want to be gloomy. Like he just wanted to, you know, be this bright spot. Basically. In his life and everything that they do. Yeah. So he kind of has that mentality. I guess that's where
and you really see that like the part that made me break down was when he was reading Jun's diary.
Oh my God.
That is when I just literally fell apart. Just seeing just the flashbacks and how he did feel all these years, and just, you know,
I know that,
and Gyum reading it for himself. It was just so
that
heartbreaking.
letter broke my heart. But
was that the part you cried at?
Oh, that's that. It started with like episode 7.
Yeah,
but I was gonna be like, can we save that for when we talk about Gyum and his brother? Because I have so much to say.
Girl, I thought we were
we'll
there.
talk about him and movie right now. Yeah, so that's Gyum's like issue. Movie, her dad died. She always felt like she didn't have enough of his presence. And then he ends up dying, whatever. So she has a fear of abandonment. Like everybody that she loves, people that she's invested in, like people end up leaving. So it manifests in her in a way that like it's kind of made her like antisocial.
Yeah,
she don't like people.
Yeah, and she pushes people away. Didn't have friends.
Likes to keep to herself.
Yeah, likes to keep to herself. More introverted. Yeah,
and
but
very cynical.
But she still had such a good heart, and she was such a kind person
from the get-go. You saw that, but I thought it was really nice because the way the drama showed it was like they were polar opposites. You know how in the beginning when the first episode where we realized like, oh, he wants to be an actor and he's shitty and he's not good at it, and she's like just an AD at that point, and they kind of meet on set, and she's highly annoyed that he's just chatting up everyone. Everybody loves
this bubbly fool. Like she was annoyed.
She was like, look at him. Even when he's not around, like people are talking about him. They're enamored with him, right? He's just so charming and likable that it was annoying her because she's the complete opposite. But finally he like wears her down.
Yeah.
She opens that crack, just that door open, just a tiny little bit of crack, and allows herself to maybe even entertain the idea that she likes him.
Yeah.
Fully like embraces it.
And I think, that was her initial why she was attracted to him. It's like, this guy's literally, it annoyed her in the beginning, but it's like, he's literally the opposite of me. It kind of intrigued her at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to know why this guy is the way he is, kind of thing.
It's like she didn't even realize she was attracted to him because she was like, why am I always so curious about him?
Yeah.
Right? And she finally, like, you know, bit by bit, she lets him in a little bit. They share their first kiss, and then he ghosts her, which is like the worst thing you could do to somebody with abandonment issues.
Exactly.
I was like, oh no, she's not gonna talk to anybody for like another decade now.
Literally.
Like,
imagine the first time you let your guards down, and he literally shows why she is the way she is,
and it just kind of like, you know, reinforces the idea that she should not get close to people. I was just like, oh no.
Yeah.
This is not going to be good. Yeah. But
so I understood completely her anger. Like, fuck you. I don't care.
I'm over this. I should have never gotten close to someone. Right.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the time jump and that they didn't, you know, they got right back down into business after.
Yeah.
So they run into each other again after 5 years. And he just does not know when to quit, because after ghosting her, and then seeing her for the first time in 5 years, he gets on her nerves and asks like the most ridiculous question at like the screening of her film. And she was like, there he is again.
And you know what's annoying? It's like when they did come back again, it took him so long. Like the fact that he didn't start with, hey, this is what happened. I didn't ghost you, was kind of annoying.
Remember.
Like he kept her in the dark for like so long.
He does not share feelings.
Yeah, he doesn't. I know, but yeah.
And she doesn't ask. Because she doesn't like to get involved with people. So they're at odds.
But what I mean is like, he's coming back all cheery in her face, forgetting it's like, you know, you ghosted her, right? The right thing would be to let her know why before you just all up in her face laughing and kikiing.
Maybe apologize right away.
Yeah, exactly.
But remember, he doesn't like to acknowledge uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, that's true.
His thing is to just be like, yay, and cheery about it. And, you know, hopefully if he's having a good time and has a big smile on his face, nobody's going to question or deal with that.
I feel like they are the same people at their core, but they just present differently.
Exactly.
He's the bubbly guy and she's the more introverted person, but at their core, it's the same struggles, same, you know what
Basically.
I mean, issues.
So he was like, you know what? I want to pick up where we left off. Like I still like you and I want to be with you. And she tells him kick rocks, but just like how he did in the first episode, he ends up wearing her down and they start to date.
Yeah.
which was cute as hell.
It was.
And I like the fact that she got over her fear of abandonment and said, you know what, I'm still scared. I don't like to be involved with people, but I can't deny it anymore. Like, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
She knows that he's never going to stay. Other than being completely positive and always being in a good mood, she now realizes she has to pull everything out of him. Because he's just not a sharer.
Kind of recognize like, hey, we actually are more similar than we are different.
Exactly.
Right?
She just realizes what his flaw is, and she does everything in her power to kind of like get around it. And
I think at one point she did say,
like,
I need to know what your weakness is. What is your...
So I can hold you up.
Yeah.
Right? So I can take care of you. I thought that was so beautiful.
It was.
I was like, their love is so sincere.
It is.
And just, you know, she was fighting with that. She was like, how do I love somebody who's not perfect? Because remember, she's so used to wanting to protect herself.
Yeah.
That if she even sees a tiny little flaw in someone, she runs away.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a growth on both their parts, that he was willing to share when he's having a hard time, and she's willing to ask if he's having a hard time.
Yeah.
He just doesn't pretend he's not.
But that also it speaks to who she is, though. She's naturally a very caring, kind person, right? So I don't think that was hard for her to even be there for him and be like, hey, you can open up to me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
She took it upon herself, because when she realized how heartbreaking was with that scene, when she realized he was sleeping in the car.
Oh my God.
And he was like, there's no one home.
Yeah.
And she didn't even question it and moved in the next day.
Literally.
I was like, look at the growth.
Literally.
She was like, I don't like people's problems. And she jumped right into his problem and said, we're going to make this easier. What can I do for you?
And that was also the scene that broke me, when they're standing in his house. He didn't pay the bill, so the lights were off. Mm-hmm. And then she just like held his face and said, you're not alone, Gyum. I literally started bawling my eyes out, because we know that he literally is alone now.
Literally,
like, you know what I mean?
No one left.
He has no family, no parents, no brother. Like, that just broke me. Like,
this show, I was just like, I was not expecting that.
And I knew that's exactly what he needed to hear at that moment.
To allow himself to be taken care of, and to allow himself to depend on someone.
Yeah.
Right? So their relationship was healing for both of them, because now Mubi thinks that like she caused her father's death.
Yeah.
Right? She thought that he got into that accident because she was being a brat and saying, no, you have to, you know, come now. Like, whatever. But
can I just say, young Mubi was a menace. She was
I loved it.
I loved it. She was hilarious. Like being in the schoolyard and they're like, oh, where's your dad? She's like, he's dead. I don't have a dad.
To me.
And then he runs to her and they're like, and she's like, oh, this is my stepdad. He's like, I'm her biological dad.
Yeah, like, please. Like,
she was a menace.
Don't pay her no mind.
Yeah.
Did you notice though, that's her go-to? Because in order to deal with Guillaume ghosting her, she was like, in my mind, he was dead. He died.
Yeah.
So running into him 5 years later really fucked up her plan. And she was like, he's supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just how she
deals with things.
Deals.
That was just hilarious to see,
Instead of being like, I'm hurt. What's going on? She was like, you know what? That person's dead to me now. I don't need to analyze this anymore. I'm going to move on.
But she did have a friend, Jung-hyun.
The little kid that she was standing up for as a
relationship.
Kid. She was a menace to the neighborhood in the right way, because she got into all those fights because she's protecting that little weakling.
But look at, you see what I mean? It shows like, she's a menace like to the world.
Always been a
caretaker. But look how she protected, Jung-hyun, and
I know. And their relationship is so adorable.
It was so adorable.
They literally were like siblings.
Yeah.
And I love that when he came back into the neighborhood, he kind of tried to like mislead Guillaume by saying, that's my girl.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean by that?
He's like, why do you keep saying that?
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, because she's my girl. Like,
yeah.
I thought that was adorable. You see, that's what I'm saying. Like, every single person in this show added everything to it. Like, nobody was useless.
Yeah, you didn't feel like, okay, what's the point of this little friend?
Yeah, like, who's this side character?
Because then he eventually became a part of the crew too. You know what I mean? Him and Guillaume got together, and then he actually moved in with him. It was so cute.
He just blended in with the brothers, and he was like, you know what? They're her neighbors. There's clearly something going on between these two. And he just accepted them, and, he was like their little brother now.
Yeah.
They're like, come on in. They kind of low-key adopted him.
Even with June, yeah. It was really cute.
Right? Everything was just so adorable. But Mubi, I forgot what I was going to say about her earlier.
I love her.
What?
I feel like I resonated with her a lot, to be honest.
So much.
Like,
And
just the hard exterior, but the soft insides. Like, it was just, yeah.
I know. My favorite exchange was when he's at the butcher shop that her mom owns.
Yeah.
And unprovoked, he's like, me and Mubi are dating now.
Yeah.
And the mom's like, okay, since when? He's like 2 weeks ago. The mom goes, she didn't tell me that.
I asked her something.
It's early.
Yeah.
He was like, it's early. It's only been 2 weeks. She was like, I asked her this morning and she said, no, I'm not dating anyone. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
He's just so adorable.
He is. He's so likable. It's like, how can you even her mom being like an older version of her? It's like,
right?
He even, he weaseled his way into her heart.
He did.
It was so cute.
And then she kind of gave him, she was like, I hope you're not dating my daughter just because she's pretty, because she's like a little cranky old man on the inside. He's like, no, she's pretty. Don't get me wrong. He's like, but I'm dating the cranky old man too. Like, he was like, I like that part as well. He was like, we know, right? And then she gives him like extra, like free meat, I guess, or whatever.
Because his brother liked it. Yeah.
And then he's like, I knew you would like me. She's like, slow down. That's for your brother. It's not that deep.
Did you think, or was it just me, that I thought that maybe the brother and the mom were kind of gonna, I don't know.
Oh my God, no.
I don't know. When she gave the meat, I was like, oh, okay. Are you trying to say something
just
here?
Accepted them like their family. But do you see the age gap between the brother and the mother?
I mean, she don't look like, he was like 40. Okay.
And the mom looks like she's 60.
Did she look 60?
Yeah.
No, she didn't look 60. She looked good
She's
for her.
Like
that
60.
was a good 60 then.
At like, that point when they're neighbors, they're like 31. Movie's 31.
And Thing has 11 years on.
Okay, so he's 42. And?
The mom doesn't look that much older to that level.
But not enough for them to have a romantic relation. Like, come on.
A little bit of an age gap wouldn't have been crazy. Like,
he looks, the 41-year, the older brother, like June looks like she could have had him young.
You know why I said that? Because
that could have been her eldest son.
I finally thought that, oh my God, June will, because clearly June never dated or anything, right? Because he didn't have time for, I thought maybe, oh my God, he's going to find love too. That's it. Was that weird to think that? Because I sure as hell didn't think he was going to die. Like, you know how K-dramas go, they just love a good couple. Like, no.
I did not see.
And they were gonna just work at the little shop together. Like, I seen that. Anyways,
seriously,
I guess
like marry him into the family business.
Yeah.
No, I did not see. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I did not see that. That's
K-dramas are fucking me up. I don't know. I just
June is not that everywhere. Old.
Yes, I know he's not that old, but even if she has like 10 years on him, what's wrong with that?
But she clearly has more than 10 years.
I don't think it's more.
And look at the relationship dynamic. She can't get with her daughter's boyfriend's older brother.
Anything is possible in K-drama, okay?
Not that to that extent.
Anyways, I guess I just wanted June to find love.
I guess so. And you know, it makes me so sad that his whole life was
just dedicated to his brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was like literally did not have friendships, literally did not have like love interests, like nothing. His whole world was his brother. Because
that letter was just
I broke down. Oh my God.
Did we miss anything about movie situation? And Jeon, is there anything else you want to touch on?
No, I already spoke about the part that I wish he just, while she was going crazy in her head, I wish he could have just apologized and whatever. But then we know that he also has a lot of issues with communication. And I feel like with both couples, I feel like communication was their struggle, to be honest.
Well, everybody's dealing with their traumas, right?
Yeah.
And even if they do have full on communication, they're all perceiving it differently in their own way.
Yeah.
That they're misunderstanding because they have their own perceptions, right?
That's true.
Like, let's quickly talk about Mubi and her mom.
Yeah.
Mubi's issue is she has abandonment issues because she felt like her dad was never there for her. She was never loved. And I'm thinking the entire time, your mom was there. But then she realizes every step of the way she was never alone. She was always loved. Her mom was, if her dad was busy with work, her mom filled in as best as she could.
And that's why I'm so happy that Mubi realized that. It's like, hold on, I was so consumed with hating this man. Exactly. I forgot to see you and what you were doing. And I'm so happy that they could reconcile and finally say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I literally didn't even think about you. I was so caught up with this
and took you for granted because you literally made my life like what it is.
Yeah,
right?
like that scene where her dad bailed on her, didn't come to the movie theater, and her mom was like, I'll go with you. And she's like, Mom, you don't even like movies. And she's like, I don't care. I'm going to go with you. You know what I mean?
And as an adult, that's what she realized. Her mom did so right by her.
Yeah.
Never wanted her to feel abandoned and unloved. And I thought that was so great for Movie to finally realize and come to terms with that. And the whole like hating her dad, I never truly believed she did hate her dad. I think it was just
no, she loved him so much and she was angry that he always let her down.
And he
he got her into movies. They used to watch movies together. They had a bond. You know what I mean? It was just the fact that he just wasn't there a lot of the time, even though they had a connection and a bond.
Exactly. Yeah. And she didn't realize the whole reason she wanted to make a Melo movie is because that was her dad's favorite.
Yeah.
Right? So it was like subconsciously, it was like she entered the movie industry and you know, but was telling herself, I'm not doing this to fulfill my dad's dream or whatever. I think she did it to stay connected to him and his memory,
she
right?
Did.
But she didn't even realize that at the time. If you really
hated him on that level, right, you would be like, I'm going the furthest away from anything that he liked, anything, you know what I mean? If you really think that, especially that this is the career and industry that kind of killed your dad because he was so overworked, you know?
Exactly. And he never really, and he made shitty movies. Like he wasn't good at his job. Just like how Jeon loved movies so much, he wanted to be an actor, but everybody's like, you're shit, dude. Yeah. Like, you're not good at this.
Yeah.
So, and even when she tells her mom, I thought it was very telling that she knew. She was like, I met someone that reminds me of dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And isn't it so cute that they both have like the same kind of relationship? Mm-hmm. Like the dad was like a Jeon and her mom and her have similar personalities.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's why she was so drawn to him, right? Like he loved movies so much that like he just wanted to be on set. He didn't care that he was a bad actor.
Yeah.
Which was horrible because one of my favorite scenes was in the beginning when he's an extra and there's that fight scene and everything's happening and then the main actor comes up and Yeon's just in the background like making all these weird faces and the director was like, cut! Like, what the even the actor was like, what is he doing? Like, he was so bad at it, but he so desperately just wanted to be on a film set. Yeah. So happy he found his path and became a critic instead. But it would have been hilarious to see him try to pursue acting knowing he was so bad at it.
What did you think of Jua and Mubi having a relationship? At first, I thought, I was like, oh my God, it's going good. They went to the bar. They, you know what I mean?
They liked each other.
And then Mubi just started treating her like she was annoying. And I was kind of upset for Jua. I'm like, what is your problem, Mubi? Like, you know what I mean? She was always shocked that she was around. Huh?
Mubi doesn't like people.
I know she doesn't, but like I said,
she's not the friendliest person on earth.
That's after they hung out, got drunk, told each other about their, situations.
You know, they were strangers.
Yeah, I know.
You remember, and then they told each other fake things about each other, and then they fake. And she's like, "You said I look like a civil servant."
Yeah,
I thought that was hilarious. I think both women, in my mind, both women will get closer, and become besties because they don't. It didn't seem like they had strong female friendships.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that even Mubi even sat with her, got drunk with her, I think that was a big step even for her, to be honest, because she has no friends.
I feel like it's because she was drunk, she was able to talk to her at the bar, and both of them just needed to vent to a stranger and thought that they would never see this person ever again. But Jua, I think, is obviously way more personable than Mubi is, but I think she was just so focused on her career over the past 5 years. I don't think she had time for friendships because I feel like 7 years of her life she was in a relationship where she was just catering to Sinju, and I think she took the past 5 years to really just focus on herself. So maybe that's why she doesn't have close female friendships or didn't have time to make those kind of relationships. But Mubi's just a bitch, right? Not in a bad way, but just like she's a cranky little antisocial person, doesn't like to be in people's like, business.
We hung out, but why do you keep popping up?
And Jua was making her feel uncomfortable because she's like, what's going on? Do you have a boyfriend? What's happening? Like, you could tell. So I really like their little back and forth. And I don't think she's intentionally being mean. It's just she's so closed off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. In my mind, in the future, they became
I feel like
close.
Now they're all going to, well, yeah. But yeah, I absolutely just loved it. Yeah.
All of these relationships
All of these
were so
relationships.
beautiful to watch,
Yeah.
right? And to just see that, you know, their growth. But the biggest relationship of them all is what broke me, and I don't think I like recovered, was the relationship between Guillaume and his brother June.
I was so not even expecting that. Like when we started watching, when it first started, like I just was like, okay, it's gonna be about romance, whatever. But I didn't know the brother bond was gonna just break me the way it did. Right? I didn't think it was gonna be that deep. Like I certainly didn't think he was gonna pass or anything. But yeah, like that really surprised me.
Well, the thing is, because of the actor that plays June, and because he's not like, you know, this random side supporting role type of actor, like he's a big actor, right?
Yeah.
So I thought because he was in the role of his brother, which felt like it wasn't going to be like a big main role, I thought he was going to die right away. Kind of like he's just in here for like a quick cameo.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. He didn't die till the very end.
That man broke me. Surprise, surprise. He broke me.
He broke all of us. I don't know why I'm laughing. I think it's I don't want to start
to keep from crying.
Maybe. But
yeah.
Wow.
That man did damage.
When that accident happened, I thought, okay.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Like, I thought that was going to be the reason. Yes, that was the reason why he ghosted movie.
Yeah.
But I didn't think the brother was going to survive.
Me neither. Yeah.
Then he did. And that's where everything just kind of like kicks off.
So then what eventually killed him?
Complications. He had like heart and lung issues.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And even that, I feel like him and his brother were very similar. Because even the brother, he was trying to hide that. To the point that, oh my God, that scene when him and Guillaume were in the kitchen. Oh, that broke me too. And they had that conversation. Because his brother was also trying to hide this from Guillaume.
Yeah, so June...
Because Jung-hyun is what kind of... He told Guillaume, hey, like, I don't think your brother is okay.
Mm-hmm, because remember, he even says it to him. He was like, I've been chronically ill, so I know you're not well.
Exactly.
He's like, I've been dealing with this, you know, when I was younger. So I know when something big is going on. So you need to be honest. And
that scene was so powerful because it's like they're both trying to protect each other, fighting each other to protect each other.
I know.
You know what I mean?
But so June gets the bad news that things are not looking good for him, and he could essentially, you know, he has to start thinking about like the worst case scenario. All of a sudden becomes so different from who he is typically. He wants to hang out with people. He wants to go traveling. He wants to eat out. Like he wants everybody at their house.
He has a bottle at the bar.
Just so
like, you know what I mean?
Social, you know?
Yeah.
That bottle at the bar thing just really drove home how much he hid himself personally, because he didn't want Guillaume to see him just as anything but his brother.
And that is also weird. Because,
very weird.
Because Guillaume is a whole grown adult now. You know what I mean? I feel like no matter what, he always looked at Guillaume as that little 9-year-old boy that lost his
never
parents.
left that. Yeah. Exactly. He's always just like, all he has in this world, I'm just going to dedicate my life to him, which was like a huge disservice to Guillaume as well, because it made him feel guilty.
It did.
Like when he realized the house that they moved into, the brother picked it because of something that Guillaume had said when he was younger. Like, oh, I want to live in a house with a big white wall so I can, you know, project movies onto that wall. He did it. And then Guillaume finds that out and he was like, what the hell? He was like, I thought this house was the one thing that you wanted for yourself. Like, do you want anything for yourself? Like, why is it always about me?
And that's why Guillaume said, it's like, and I'm fighting for you just to live.
Exactly.
And that's why he was frustrated. It's like, you're worried about me, but I want you to live.
They were equally obsessed with each other and wanted the best for each other and loved each other so deeply that one is upset that the other one has literally given up everything in life just to provide for him. Yeah. And he was just like, I don't need you to provide. It would make me happy for you to be selfish.
Yeah.
You know,
and
like
just be happy and do something for yourself.
Want something for yourself. Like, oh, even when he was saying, oh, let's travel, let's do this, he rightfully clocked it. He was like, why do you want to go to Hollywood? Like, why do you want to travel all of a sudden? We have time. And he's like, we might not have time. And then he was just like,
and the way he dropped it on him, you see what I mean? And that's why he was frustrated. It's like, what?
He's like, I need you to be
prepared. Even him finding the cigarettes in his pocket. It's like,
he didn't even know his brother
smoked. Right?
That's what I mean. The uncle, and was it Sinju or the uncle? I can't remember. But he goes to the bar and he's like, this is what your brother used to drink. He was like, I didn't know that. He was like, there's a lot you didn't know about your brother. And it kind of like hurt him. Because imagine,
why would he hide it? Yeah, imagine thinking we have such this deep, strong bond, and the whole time he didn't know his brother really.
Exactly.
Like,
the brother was loving him just one way. Like he didn't even want love back. And
he felt guilty to just be himself, any bit of it. Like he did not want to show Gyum that. It's like that. I like to have a drink from time to time. I like to smoke a cigarette. Like, and Gyum sitting there's like, why would I care about that? Like
I know.
You know,
it was weird, and it took him writing that letter to him to show him that. Because remember how Gyum does this like voiceover part where he was like, my brother's unaffected, like nothing affects him, like he doesn't get mad, he doesn't get sad. But you realize actually Gyum has been June has been affected this entire time. He fights his bullies for him, he fights his bosses for him. Like he was just doing it behind the scenes, and I love that he actually expressed that to him, and he was just like, you made my life worth living. Like he knows his brother thinks that he regrets having to take care of him and their situation. And he was just like, actually, really didn't care whether I lived or died. And that's why I was like, I think he was probably depressed
100%,
by the time that their parents had like passed away, or maybe even before. We don't know this, but he snapped out of it and found the will to live because of Gyum. And Gyum the entire time is saying, oh, you tried to kill yourself because I'm such a big burden, or our life is such a big burden to you. And he was like, it had nothing to do with you.
Oh, that was very heavy too.
Yeah. And I like that metaphor that he used. And he was just like, my life has always just felt like I'm floating in this body of water. His depression had nothing to do with their situation or his little brother. And I felt that letter did a really good job of like communicating that to him. And I think that's why
it was his journal entries, girl.
It was his, it was Gyum's book that he took and wrote in his Gyum's journal that he wrote that letter to him.
Was it? I thought that was literally June's journal that he found.
It wasn't because remember when he was checked into the hospital and what's the other kid's name again?
Jung-hyun.
And Jung-hyun was he was like, oh, he asked me to pick up some books for him, and he's like, wait a minute, that's mine. And then it occurred to him why does he have my journal or notebook? And that's where he finds the letter that he wrote to him.
And again,
eyeballed.
A conversation he could have had with him. So they all literally struggle with that. You know what I mean?
But I also think that like June knew that he might not be discharged and wanted to make sure that, he communicated that to his brother. He knew he was going to die maybe. Yeah. And he was like, I don't ever want my brother to even have the tiniest bit of doubt that I didn't love him and I didn't regret our life.
And I didn't want to commit a suicide because
he was like, that one mistake I didn't want you to find out, but I want you to know that that's not how I always felt. You know what I mean? And now I truly do really want to live, and unfortunately like doesn't look like it's gonna work out for me. I don't know, it was just
like I said, it was beautifully written. Oh
that
my God.
episode,
it was so layered, so deep. Like I said, raw emotions, raw real life situations. You know what I mean?
Really, every human emotion was like dissected and like analyzed, and just nobody's perfect. That's what I walked away with. I was like, all these people were flawed and it wasn't their fault.
Exactly.
Even though they made bad choices sometimes, it wasn't with bad intentions.
Yeah. And no matter how, it also showed me no matter how people present themselves or appear, everyone has something they're struggling with, right? Everyone does. It doesn't matter if that person's the bubbliest person you've ever met in your life. They got their own struggles. Yeah. Right?
And one of the lines that resonated with me, honestly, and the way that movie was thinking was her saying, people who are happy all the time freak me out, because it's so true. Yeah. Like life is not good at all times. And I worry when I see somebody who's always just like, oh my God, we can do it. It's okay. There's a silver lining. Yeah. Like sometimes you just got to be like, fuck it. This is unfair. Yeah. And be sour about it.
Yeah. And also people that, that they're always one emotion, right? Like you've never seen them upset. You never see them, cry or break down. They're just always the same. Those people freak me out as well. Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, get angry. Where's the passion? Where's the, you know what I mean? Yeah, like nothing human. Pisses you off. Nothing, like these are just real human emotions, right?
Exactly.
So, and it shows that you're human and it's okay. Like,
and you know what? If you do come across somebody who's having a hard time and they're snapping on you, have some grace. Yeah. You don't know what people are going through.
You don't.
Like it just enter life and deal with life and just always just, you know, from a place of nothing is perfect and no one is perfect.
Yeah.
And just kind of like roll with the punches, and you don't always have to put on a brave face.
And if you are struggling, that's okay too.
To ask for help as well.
It's a human thing, right? Like,
yeah. You don't have to be strong at all times.
Yeah.
Kind of like how, again, they addressed that head on when the mom told Jeon that, you know what, all those thoughts that you're having once in a while, it's okay to unleash them on someone, and it's okay to like lean on people. And
exactly.
It was just
very important conversation.
My God, this show just touched on everything. It gave us every little thing.
It did.
It was so well written, and I just love the vibe and the tone, you know?
Yeah.
It was warm and comfy, but it wasn't too bright.
It wasn't.
But it wasn't gloomy
like I said,
either.
It was real and raw, and that's what I loved about it the most.
And aesthetically, just the film tone too. I was like, I really like this. Like, even if it's dark situations and we're talking about a dark matter, like, it didn't get gloomy. So I don't know, man. I loved it.
What do you rate it, girl?
Can I give it 1,000 out of 10? I'm gonna say 10/10 because I have nothing bad to say about it.
Yeah, it was literally missing nothing.
It really wasn't. Like, it gave us the romance that we wanted. It gave us the closure that we needed from the second couple. You know, movie's fine. They get over their personal traumas. It was well done.
Yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10 as well. Who is your SOS?
I'm going to have to go with the brother because I thought he was going to have such a small role, and he ended up having the biggest impact and really brought the whole story together between him and Jeon. So I'm going to say June.
Okay. I give it to Mubi because like I said, I feel like I resonated with her so much. It was like kind of scary. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so like me. And
she's a little cranky.
Also,
is that what you're saying?
I just loved her growth as a character. Where she started and how it ended was just beautiful to see for me.
Yeah. So, well, now that you say that, honestly, I liked all of them.
Honestly, they all grew. I love them.
Yeah, because even Sinju at the beginning, who looked like he was a little dick, turned out to be really sweet and just needed closure, and he had his own growth. And I thought it took so much self-control. Sorry, not to go back into it, but it took so much self-control for him not to, when he ran into her after, not to approach her at the record store, because he was just like, you know what, we're done, and it's okay. Well, that's our show for today. If you enjoyed Melo Movie, let us know what you thought in the comments. And as always, give us a review and a like, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.